So, I am Emily's mom, and that was her very first time telling a story on stage, and I've been a storyteller for a long time, and so was my mom. So, I am going to take it down a notch. Not so funny as my daughter. My father passed away 3 weeks ago-ish in an Alzheimer's facility in South Carolina. And I knew immediately when I saw the theme endings what story I would tell. And it is not the story of my father's ending, although it is the story of an ending, but rather the beginning of the end. And so my story is called For Angels Lost. In what would be the last task my father and I performed together, we lifted his German Shepherd mix into the back of my minivan. I had made her a bed from an old down comforter that my daughter used in college. My dad kissed her goodbye and hugged me and thanked me several times for doing what he could not do. Angel was old and frail and increasingly incontinent. But my mother could not bring herself to put her down for peeing on the floor at 80 years old. Mom could identify and empathize well. So we waited until the pain and humiliation of her condition outweighed the daily simple pleasures that she took, like following my dad around the neighborhood in his golf cart. We waited until one day she didn't come home. Dad was in the yard when the neighbor walked up with Angel in tow, and he was embarrassed. Angel had forgotten her way home. Dad had forgotten he took her with him. We waited until the next day when she could no longer stand. And we knew it was time. My mom and I made the 10-mile drive into town to Dr. Jackson's office. And it was quiet on the way, but Mom eventually said, I just cannot cry for her now. I'm just really feeling guilty that I let her suffer this long. And I tried to console my mom. I said, Mama, you gave her the best life. This is the kindest thing we can do now. And so when we got to Dr. Jackson's office, we waited in the room for about 10 minutes, just petting and praising and loving this glorious shepherd who lived longer than a big dog should. When she was tired, and she told us that with her dark, sad eyes. I took one last picture of her with her beautiful head resting on her paws on the cold tile floor where she would take her last breath. Dr. Jackson came in and he explained the procedure to us and what would happen when he did what he was going to do, and he asked us if we were sure we wanted to stay with her, and I said yes, we were. If she had to endure it, we would too. She was too brave and too loved to abandon now. When we were sure she was gone, I was the one crying. On the way home, my mom stroked Angel's ragged collar in her soft, worn hands, and my dad greeted us from the porch, asking if he could help bring the groceries in. And I said, Daddy, we didn't go to the grocery store. And he became angry and started shouting at us. And he said, but where have you been? What took you so long? And I was so confused. I knew he'd been diagnosed with dementia and maybe the beginnings of Alzheimer's, but I had no idea that in the space of 1 hour, he could forget that we had taken his beloved pet to be euthanized. My mom climbed the steps to remind him gently so he wouldn't be embarrassed when he realized his mistake. My dad and I had a very contentious relationship all of my life. He was often demanding and sometimes abusive. He had been diagnosed sometime before with a narcissistic form of personality disorder, which did not surprise my mom and I at all. We called that a long time ago. But in that moment, I saw something beyond his personality, beyond our history. And I just lost it. I started crying. And he became tender then. And he asked me why I was crying. And I couldn't answer. But my mom said, honey, she's just crying because she's sad about Angel. And while that was very true, how could I explain to him or to her that there was so much more to my tears than that one sorrow? Thank you.